You know who destroyed a D&D campaign? I did. Not only I destroyed a D&D campaign, I destroyed my own campaign. So this is kind of embarrassing to talk about this because I'm here giving you advice on how to run your game and all sorts of tips and ideas and all that. But I think there's value in talking to others about your own screw-ups, especially if by that you can help others not make the same mistakes. So I wanted to create a new campaign for my kids, and I call them my kids, but they're 21 and 14. And I want to have something that they would remember. And so therefore I thought up of an idea, like what if I created a campaign for them where they play siblings, they are brother and sister. I started developing the story from there. I started thinking, well, that can't be the motivation. There has to be something more. So I kept on thinking different ideas about what would be the plot, what would be going on here. So I had this idea of good versus evil, which is classic, of course. I thought that maybe they had opposing views in the world, or at least opposed origins. So when character creation time came up, I already had some ideas of what would be cool to me. So my son created a tiefling sorcerer, and my daughter created an Aasimar paladin. Things seemed to be going well. The problem was that I started to push, especially my daughter, but both of them in certain directions, because I had a theme in mind, and this is a mistake. I had a theme in mind, I had a story in mind, and even though I didn't plan to railroad my players in the story, of course not, I was railroading the character creation. And that's probably a worse mistake to make. Players identify with their characters, and they become like, they bond with the characters usually. And there's ideas, concepts that the players want to have in their characters. If you sort of impose a character class or a race or a subtype of race, all that, anything that is like a big thing that defines the character, you are making a mistake. We started playing, first session, it went well. I did feel like there wasn't that much of my players and their characters were not like meshing with each other, so to speak. Not between the characters. I'm talking about the relationship between the player and the character. That mesh, that synchronicity that you want to happen was not happening. Second session goes in, we play, we continue the game. Game is the story is good. Being honest, the story was good, the setting was good, but I felt that I wasn't getting there, that I wasn't reaching out to them. Second session was okay, wasn't as good as I hoped for. There were some stellar moments, but in the end, it kind of sort of flattened out, for lack of a better term. Like it deflated by the end. So we all have bad sessions, so I attributed that to just a bad session, like we all have them, and carried on. A long time passed between that last session. I'm talking about a couple of months. A few days ago, I'm talking to my daughter about the game, because we're playing another adventure and then we start playing this one. We sort of like put that on hold and start playing this one. So I'm asking her, you want to play, which one do you want to continue? You want to play the old one? You want to continue this new one? And she, being the lovely person that she is, she was trying not to make me feel bad. So she was kind of like, I don't know, whatever you want. And then I kept asking because I felt something was off, and she finally told me. She hated her character. I felt bad, but not because I felt attacked by her, just because I realized at that moment, I realized the mistake I made. I realized that I had pushed her into choosing things just because they fit my story. I guess that's the lesson here. Don't push a character design decision on your players. Let them do that. Let them bring that out. And then from that, if you want to create a story based upon that, then do so. But don't force your own ideas onto the players, no matter how cool they are. Because let me tell you, the idea I had, that idea, the whole concept for that campaign is pretty good. It's solid. But no adventure is good at all if the players are not enjoying it. Because that's the purpose. We're there to have a good time. And we're there to provide entertainment, which is one of the things that makes being a game master so challenging. Is that we have to make sure that people have fun, people are entertained. And if they're not having fun, then what's the purpose of it? I learned my lesson and realized my mistake, and it's kind of awkward to admit it, but you know, I guess it can happen to anyone. That's why I decided to share this, because even though it's something a little bit embarrassing and awkward, I think it's something that can happen to any other game master out there, because sometimes we are so in love with the story that we might not railroad the players in the adventure itself, which is the typical railroading where you take characters and you're going here, you're going to fight this monster, and you're going to go to the city, and then you're going to talk to this person, and so forth. It's a different type of railroading. It's a character creation railroading, and yes, that's not going to happen anymore. So, conclusion was that we have our D&D game on hold. That campaign died after 2 sessions. I guess some of the ideas that I have, I mean, the cool thing about this is that your ideas are not really lost. You can always reuse them. So at some point I might reuse some of the concepts that I had for this campaign, but for now that campaign is gone. And I have ideas for a new campaign, but it's not in the usual way when you have this overarching thing. But I'm going to be talking about that in another video. My fellow game masters, don't push your players to create characters that you think fit in the game. Let them choose the characters they want to have, and then from there, from that starting point, build up the story and modify your idea based upon their selection. So tell me, has that happened to you? Have you forced a player unwittingly to design a character just the way you want it, so just that it fits your world or your story or plot line? Let me know in the comments. I would like to hear about that. If you like this video, please hit the like button. If you like the content of the channel, feel free to subscribe. And until next time, keep those D20s rolling.